5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
Okay, and we're just passing off the side of Irene right now. It has taken more shape since we've seen it the last 2 nights.
We're following breaking news right now out of Washington, D.C., where a magnitude 5.3 earthquake has been felt in the D.C. area.
Workers at Japan's Fukushima plant say the ground under the facility is cracking and radioactive steam is escaping through the cracks.
We are already getting radiation from Fukushima.
It was a 5.9 that occurred in Virginia, and that is confirmed.
No doubt you felt it yourself.
In our obsession with antagonisms of the moment, we often forget how much unites all the members of humanity.
You're only supposed to blow the bloody doors off.
Welcome to the show, everyone. With myself, Paul Hayburn, is the JSB 007. Hello, John. How are we doing?
Hello, Paul. Yeah, very well, thank you. God, what a week it's been. It's been absolutely glorious here.
Yeah, roasting up this way as well. Funny enough, it's a weird one. Like I'm starting to think that Nibiru's for real.
Yeah, well, I'm starting to think about Nibiru as well, because funny thing happened there. What was it today? Actually, I'm starting to look on. Well, a lot of people have been sending me some messages.
Yeah.
Regarding Nibiru coming over, and I'd like to start off, if you don't mind, talking about extraterrestrials and close encounters and that type of thing.
Okay, go ahead, fire away.
Is that okay? Well, basically, yeah. I mean, if we go back to, we look at the way that that people have been seeing all these UFOs and that, Paul. I mean, you've seen them yourself, haven't you? You know.
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
You know, there's been 1 or 2 flying over our towns and what have you, and unexplained lights, and there's absolutely hundreds and thousands of them being uploaded to YouTube just recently over these last few years. And so when they're talking about the Greys, they're talking about these Arcturians, they're talking about reptilian styles. There's apparently various different types of Greys as well. And apparently some of these Greys apparently supposed to be working in conjunction with our governments, you know. Yeah. This is how it's, or the secret governments, let's put it that way. You know, like George Bush is supposed to be working with them and all the rest of it. Whether he is or has been, I'm not sure, but they reckon that the secret Illuminati are working with the Greys. And it's all started apparently when they brought, when one of the spaceships crashed. And when was that? That was in America, wasn't it? And Area 51 got hold of it and put it there, and in America, and they learned all their alien technology from it, and they also learned how to use reverse engineering and make a Stargate. Well, apparently several Stargates have been made, and apparently, talking about going to other planets now. Apparently, we've already been to Mars.
Yeah, I noticed you sent me an email about that. I haven't, to be honest, had time to do that today, as the grandparents were across today, and so it was a bit hectic. But yeah, crack on. But
I mean, obviously, it was back in the early days of what was his name now? Trying to think of his name now. That was Yuri, the Russian astronaut. He went to the moon and back again, you know, and he was the first astronaut to fly. Yuri Gagarin, I think that was his name.
That sounds familiar.
And that was back in about 1962. And well, since then, the Americans apparently said that they've been to the moon and back and all the rest of it, but whether they did or not, we don't know. But I think that when they actually got to the moon, they were welcomed by a welcoming committee as such. And I believe that they're the little moon aliens, the Greys, possibly, I don't know. And apparently they're supposed to live on the dark side of the moon, so we can't see them from this side.
No, just Can I just crack in there, John? I know we've spoke about it. It's just so the listeners know. Maybe you'd like to repeat the name after me of this movie because my Scottish accent might be a bit broad to understand. Iron Sky. This movie it's similar to what you're saying about the Greys. Apparently, I mean, I don't know if any of the listeners maybe have heard of this. However, what it basically outlines is Nazis went to the moon after the Second World War, have indoctrinated their young on the dark side of the moon, established themselves a major base on the dark side of the moon, and are looking to take over the Earth from the dark side of the moon. Now, you guys might want to type that into Google or wherever you can get hold of the movie, Iron Sky. It was quite a recent movie, but I think it's got a lot of symbolism in it. To do with that. But crack on. Sorry, John.
Yeah, sure. No, that's okay. So anyway, talking about Hitler, and the Nazis going to the moon, I truly believe they actually did go there.
Yeah.
Because Hitler was actually into that in a big way, and apparently he also had space technology. Yeah, he had the Bell, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The Bell ship, anti-gravitational Bell ship.
Mm-hmm.
But we're getting back to 1947, just after the Second World War. There was a trip to Antarctica, and it was an Admiral Byrd. He was leading it, and he led a party of ships, planes, and other things. All went to Antarctica back in 1947. And while he was there, he was flying around with three other three other airplanes, sort of scouting the area of the Antarctic area.
Mm-hmm.
And apparently he went missing for 3 hours. And while he was missing, the other two planes landed, and they were sat there waiting.
Uh-huh.
But what happened? Apparently, he kept a diary of what happened. And I'm saying about kept a diary because that's important later on when I finish off. And he was confronted by a radio message that said to him that he's in safe hands and that he's going to be landing in 7 minutes because he's got to meet. He's got an audience waiting to meet him with the master.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, whatever this, and then the next thing he looked out from his airplane windows, he saw spaceships, saucers, one on the left-hand wing and one on the right-hand wing, and they sort of took control of the controls of the plane and landed him. And where he landed, he actually went into Middle Earth, and or the Hollow Earth, as they call it. And he said that he couldn't believe it. He saw green fields and mountains, and the sky was a different colour, and the city was all made of crystalline. He said it was absolutely beautiful. Yeah. Well, anyway, he landed, and he was taken in to see the master. And the master turned around and said to him, that he needs him to relay a message, because after we had let off the atomic bomb, the Hiroshima and that, he said that these beings are the blondes, and they call themselves the Ariani. Yeah, Ariani. And anyway, so he turned around and said that this master of the Ariani, he turned around and said that he had already spoken to the world leaders, and no one's taken any notice of him. You see, so now there's going to be a war. There will be another war in Antarctica, and it's when you will leave. He said, but you'll be, you'll be okay. He said, but this has got to happen, because So anyway, after taking notes, he was led back to about 2,700 feet up in the air in his airplane, and he's out of Middle Earth and he's flying back to base again. And next thing, on the way out of Antarctica, leaving it, they were confronted by these ships, and they was coming out of there was a war going on, with these blondes, and there was these spaceships coming out of the sea and attacking, and apparently there was about 600 people got killed on this little war before they was sent off with their tails between their legs, if you like.
People or alien?
No, the people, the admiral and his fleet of ships.
Okay.
They were attacked by these because they had to make a statement that they meant business.
Yeah.
It would not allow them to carry on letting off these bloody atomic bombs because they're damaging the Earth, and they're making the Earth unstable, and especially in the atmosphere. And they was aware of what we're doing to our planet, and they could not sit back and allow us to do this. Well, this was back in 1947, and even up to today, right? We've all sitting around and we hear all these stories about these extraterrestrials. They're coming here. They're coming here to save us. They're coming here to save the planet. They're coming here to help us evolve. They're coming here this is the coming of Christ. There's so many different reasons and meanings to this,
Yeah.
Is this the coming of Christ? Is this the 144,000? Are these white horsemen, or are we looking at alien ships? Or is Nibiru that's coming, that NASA are failing to inform us on? Is this an enlightened planet? Is this bringing light and a new race of being that are meant for us?
Yeah.
Is this bringing us enlightenment? Is this bringing us salvation as such, where it's going to help us to evolve for those that are in the light? Because we are a race of human beings who are being held back by the dark forces on this earth, the globalist elite that are controlling us, and the secret armies that have been controlling us as well.
Yeah.
Because I've heard that through one or two things like with this Mars. Why are we going to Mars?
Have you ever wondered why we work more than we live? Ever wondered why you feel obliged to vote? Or maybe you have wondered why we are to be injected with the flu bug just to get rid of it? Well, here on KBMS FM, myself, Paul Hayburn, along with John from the JSB 007 channel on YouTube, may have some answers for you. So please, join us every Wednesday, every week, here on YouTube.com for conspiracy facts and fictions, including a wide variety of topics that can be and will be discussed. So join Paul and John every Wednesday on YouTube.com for Operation Wake Up Call, the only show you can wake up to.
Well, like I said, apparently we've been going to Mars since 1962, and we have actually built stations on Mars.
May I just break in there, John?
Yeah.
I did notice, I was actually looking at some, it was like a 360 panoramic view of the area in which Curiosity, the rover that they sent up, was it a few months back? Aye.
Yeah. They sent one up in 2004, didn't they? 2010, that's right.
Yeah, that's the one I'm on about. I believe that's the one I'm on.
2004, and it got stuck, didn't it? And they lost contact in 2010.
There's one that's recently went up.
They just landed about a couple of weeks ago, didn't it?
Yeah, named Curiosity. Now, I have looked at a panoramic view, a 360 view of the rover itself, obviously, but the land around it. Now, there's a lot of speculation saying that it's actually New Mexico because, now, hear me out here, when I was clicking around and having a flick about, I thought it was pretty cool, but I've never been to New Mexico, so I wouldn't know myself. However, I looked at it, and there was a couple of arrows saying, pointing in certain directions, but they had names of places on Earth. Like 16.9 kilometres away, not 16,000 kilometres or whatever, Yeah. So these were places in New Mexico. Also, I looked at the rover itself. I noticed it had NASA and badge on it and things like that. However, there was this big black square, obviously a blacked out image. Now, I was just wondering if you'd seen this yourself. If not, I can review my history, and I'll try and put the link into the description box below for the listeners to.
Okay, is this new
check.
footage or supposed to be new?
Well, it's supposed to be a new 360 panoramic view. It's just still photo.
So why are NASA holding back or blanking out?
A big, it's
putting-
quite a big
putting
square.
black-
I'd say it's about a foot.
Like squares on photographs.
About a
What
foot.
do they want us to see?
Exactly. That's what my question is. And a
Buildings,
lot.
cars, beings.
Exactly. Apparently, well, this is my thought. I'm thinking that maybe they're just blanking out the whole entire, or maybe just putting New Mexico in as a cover for Mars, because Mars is actually booming in a new super race or whatever.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is where I was going to come to, because apparently since 1962, the United States and the USSR have been sending rockets up to Mars. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they said that Mars obviously is the fourth planet. You know, it's supposed to be the ruler of the gods, the god of wars, and all the rest of it, and that type of thing. And it's supposed to have an atmosphere of just above zero. You know, just above freezing. So it's quite a cool planet.
Mm-hmm.
But they do believe that NASA has been going there and has been terraforming the atmosphere. They said they could do that by permafrosting the moisture.
Yeah.
By letting off a permafrost moisture into the atmosphere, which will give it oxygen. You know, well, apparently I think there's oxygen there anyway. You know, and there has been a couple of people who have really just been trying to speak up against this, and one was a lawyer, Andrew Bashiego, and Laura Eisenhower, who was the great-great-granddaughter of President Eisenhower. And she's been trying to tell people about these alternates. They've got alternates 1, 2, 3, and 4. You know, that NASA have been trying, and the Globus to Live have been coming up with. And it's called something to do with the black budget. Yeah. Well, you know, Moonraker and all them sort of things with Roger Moore in it back in the 80s and whatever.
Yeah.
Well, these were based on them type of things, and this is like leaving Earth, how to get away and polluting the Earth and going to live in other different planets. You know, this was based on fact, because you've got to remember that the bloke who I can't get his name now, who done all the James Bond movies, who used to write them, he was actually a Secret Service, wasn't he? Secret Serviceman.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was actually part of it, and he left to do all these
that's
films.
right. Yeah.
And they reckon a lot of his films were based on fact.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so Moonraker, if you remember that one, that was pretty good. You remember?
No, I'm familiar with that.
Those little orbs, those little spheres that was entering our atmosphere, and was going to blow us up, you know. So basically, it was the opposite to how it was going to be, you know. So anyway, they've got attitudes 1, 2, 3, and 4. So alternates 1, 2, 3, and 4. And apparently, you know, they what I've heard is that the globalist elite, right, have been setting up these cities on Mars.
Yeah.
And basically, what's going on is that there's a speeded up action on what's going on Earth at the moment. Everything is getting faster and faster. I don't know if you've noticed that. A lot of people listening will probably understand that, and they think, well, yeah. You know, time does seem to be speeding up.
Yeah, it does feel like that sometimes.
Even the ancient Maya turned around and said that, well, time will speed up, you know, because we're coming to the end of 2012. Well, I got a funny feeling that this Nibiru that's coming is a light ship. What do you call it? It's to do with helping us. I think, and I think that these reptilians, the dark globalist elite, they're now starting to panic. This is how I'm thinking. I'm thinking they're starting to panic, and they're trying to carry out the worst catastrophes on Earth. They've been already orchestrated. They've already been conducting the shifts of the tectonic plates around Japan, and that creating a nuclear fallout on the Fukushima.
Yeah.
They've been adjusting and messing about with our weather patterns, creating tornadoes and weird storms and things. They've even been spraying these chemtrails in our atmosphere. And well, getting back to Andrew Bashiego and Laura Eisenhower.
Sorry, John, can you repeat their names again? It just sort of cut a bit. The connection just went a bit. Just
getting back to Andrew Bashiego and Laura Eisenhower.
yeah,
You know, I mean, they seem very interested in what's going on here, and they're trying to help us, trying to warn the people, like, you know, what's going on, and they're saying that there's only one. The level 4 is to invest all this. Sorry, level 1 is to build all the underground cities on Earth now. That's one way for the globalist elite to go and then get rid of 6.8 billion of the planet. That's what they. That was alternate 1.
yeah.
Alternate 2, I think, was to go and alternate 2 was to what was that now? I think that was to like build an ark or something, and then sort of sail out the the worst atrocities. Alternate 3 was to escape to Mars, to another planet, and live there until and destroy Earth. You know, explode. As they left, their intention were to detonate an atom bomb on Earth. Yeah. And nuke us, basically, burn out, get rid of all of civilization, sit it out on Mars, and then come back in a few years' time, you know, and rebuild it. That's what they're for themselves.
I'm not a supporter of the dark global elites, but that's a pretty good idea to do what they want to do.
Yeah, well, it all makes sense, because I'm thinking, like, you know, these are all set up, right? Mm-hmm. This is going back 2,000 years ago, apparently. I don't know if you heard of the Archons.
No.
Right, these are an alien species of they're a parasitic alien, right? And they apparently came here over 2,000 years ago, and they're called the Archons, and they used us as their hybrid slaves, manipulated the human minds. They were easier. They could easily manipulate the human minds and make us do anything they really wanted us to do. And that's how they manipulated the world leaders to go around and try and get rid of all the indigenous people, the blacks, you know, the Maya, the Indians, and everyone else, because these cultures were the ones that was in harmony with the earth, yeah. And they don't like anyone who lives in harmony with the earth, right? So the idea was to create these leaders to go around and manipulate their minds to bring about wars, and to destroy these cultures. And this is what's been going on, because that's what we've done. We've slaughtered the North American Indians. We went to South America after Christopher Columbus, when the Spanish conquistadors went there, and they slaughtered all the Maya, but didn't get them all, because a lot of the North American Indians, a lot of the Maya, you must have heard, have disappeared. They apparently they disappeared into the underworld. Yeah, but so who's to say that they never that they went into the, you know, they went into the underworld where the Ariani are living. They went there and took refuge there.
You see that now. You say that now. When I was studying the Maya, I thought to myself, I was thinking. Now, there's no disrespect to the Maya culture itself. However, what I thought to myself was, if they could predict the end of the world as such, or a new beginning, whatever you want to think about, how come they couldn't predict the end of their being, if you want?
They did. If you'd seen the film Christopher Columbus, what was that, 1492, was it? That was brilliant, absolutely brilliant film. And anyway, they did. Their Maya tribes leaders, you know, what do you call them? They're like the not witch doctors, but you know, I can't remember the name of them now. But they stand there, and anyway, they predicted that white man would come, and he would bring about change, and they prepared for it, you know. But and they said you know, that a lot of us will, but they're being very spiritual. They knew that there was always an afterlife, so death was not a problem.
Yeah, that
them.
was a crazy little game. It was like a football game. They used to try and kick a ball through a hoop, and
that's it.
Yeah.
Well, it's to say, I mean, I know that they used to slaughter. Like on their pyramids. Apparently, they used to go out there and they used to sacrifice to the gods. This is how we're told. And they used to chop these guys' heads off and let the blood run down from the top of the pyramid right down into the valleys. Well, who's to say that they wasn't manipulated by these archons, these parasitic aliens, trying to turn them against their own people? And this sort of thing has happened, doesn't it? It's like the North American Indians, I mean...
We know it's happened. Everyone
Every
listened.
tribe, you're always going to get that. They tried, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. Everybody's well aware of what's going on.
And they're still doing it today, and this is what we're doing even today in Africa. We're going to Africa and we're stealing all these Africans' land, what's left of it.
You see, it's like I mentioned in the last week's show, or the week before, I'm sorry. It's like, everything is connected over that way, Middle East and Africa. I mean, if you look at all the countries that the US and the UK are invading, either legally or illegally, which usually is illegally, they're all either oil transporting, producing, oil producing or transferring or refining countries.
Yeah, that's right.
They're all trying to take the oil. They're obviously slaughtering the civilians as well as the so-called Al-Qaeda. I call them Al-Qaeda.
How do we know? I mean, let's look at this at a different angle, right? This is what we're led to believe. We are led to believe that it's for minerals, it's for oil, it's for our benefit.
And
but how do we know that? How do we know, right, that this is not just an illusion? It's a trick. Yeah? It's an illusion, just so they can go in and slaughter what's left of all the blacks.
Exactly,
because that's what it seems to me. Because they want these archons, right? Apparently they wanted to keep the white species and destroy.
Is there anybody there? Is anyone awake? Do you bloody care how many souls they take? Okay, so you don't know. You may not know it, mate. But you are a number barcoded and caged. And in case you don't know, you're a bloody slave. You, me, us all, even Big Fat Dave. We're all slaves here and we need to be brave. Take back our lives and even our brains. See, they're brainwashing you through the old TV and even through music and movies. Who do you want to be? The brain-dead monkey in a cage not free, or the enlightened guide holding life's true key? Well, here, I know who I'll be when it comes to being free. I don't want to be with the brain-dead monkey. I want to be a tree living free in the country. We don't want to be a damn brain-dead monkey.